told, from Rupert Murdoch, from Fox, to every studio, look, if you touch this thing, you will be out, you will be done. You'll be finished in 3 years.
The United States is the #1 consumer year after year. And oftentimes we're close to #1 in production.
I looked directly at the emails that have been widely circulated pertaining to the age 11, and I have it written down on my notes, the permission to kill email, the Snow White, the littlest girl was naughty, etc. And some of them pertaining to, jerky, whatever that is. Yeah.
And so, and so just quick follow, what is jerky? Like, what is that exactly?
I think that's the question. I don't know if it's like, and again, like going into specifically just based on what this is, I don't know.
Code word.
Context
It
is
has to be a code word. Nobody talks about jerky like this.
Weird.
You've probably seen interviews where actors talk about a role, and then you've seen moments where something changes in their voice. A pause, a breath that doesn't come out clean, a look in their eyes like they've seen something they were never supposed to see.
I went through hypothermia. I had to have open heart surgery. I was electrocuted, struck by lightning. I understand the necessity of what I was going to have to go through could help bring people back to God.
But what happened with Jim Caviezel in recent discussions about child trafficking investigations wasn't just another Hollywood interview. It was something heavier. He wasn't promoting a film. He wasn't selling a message. He was trying to hold himself together while describing material he said left him emotionally shaken beyond anything he had experienced before.
And they've done everything they could to stop it, as they did this with the Passion of the Christ.
And at one point, he almost broke down completely, not because of acting, but because of what he claims he learned while stepping into a world most people only hear about in headlines and never truly look at. And here's where it gets uncomfortable.
We're selling out right now. Our biggest war right now is to get more theaters. The big studios control those.
Because according to him, the deeper he went into the research, the more disturbing the details became. Not just about individual cases, but about the alleged methods and systems described in trafficking investigations and law enforcement briefings. He didn't speak like a man repeating rumors. He spoke like someone trying to unsee something burned into memory. And that is where this story begins. Not with Hollywood, not with fame, but with what happens when someone steps too close to darkness and realizes it's not just a story, it's a system people have been fighting for years.
There was talking going on, and I was like watching the audience going by. Second time it happened. Again, third time, talking in this one particular spot. And I'm thinking, what, did we do something wrong or something? But so then one more time it happened. At the end, I was asking about the movie, and I asked him about that one particular part where everybody's talking, and they all cried out Epstein Island. And I went, oh, okay. Now I understand what we're up against.
Jim Caviezel's career has never been typical. Long before any controversy or public attention surrounding his outspoken views, he was already known in Hollywood as someone deeply intense about his work, a method-driven actor, someone who doesn't just play a role, but lives inside it. When he portrayed Jesus in The Passion of the Christ, he didn't walk away unchanged. He spoke about injuries, exhaustion, and moments of extreme physical strain during filming that left him permanently affected.
There's close to 6 million children or more who are forced into sex slavery, labor slavery, or organ harvesting. And I can attest that I have been involved in cases involving all 3 of those forms of slavery multiple times.
But what came later was different, because after that peak of global recognition, he didn't chase safer roles or easier fame. Instead, he began aligning himself with projects that most mainstream studios avoided discussing openly. And that's when everything shifted. Years later, when he began speaking publicly about trafficking awareness and his involvement in telling stories inspired by real-world operations, people didn't just listen to the message, they watched him closely.
It's an 8-armed octopus. And if you take just out, that arm will grow back. You have to take the head.
And what they noticed was something unusual. He wasn't performing emotion, he was carrying it. But here's where the story takes a darker turn.
They don't hit send, but they have the password for multiple emails, and they'll just go in, get the message, and then never open or close it, so it's impossible basically to track. It's just like a draft.
Because during interviews and appearances related to these topics, Caviezel began describing how deeply he had been affected by the material he encountered, especially the documented cases and investigative details shared with him during research phases of these projects. He talked about things that most audiences never hear in detail, not in a sensational way, but in a broken, reflective tone. He described how once you begin to understand the structure of trafficking networks, as explained by investigators, you start to see a pattern that feels almost mechanical, organized, systemic, not random chaos.
I looked directly at the emails that have been widely circulated pertaining to the age 11, and I have it written down on my notes, the permission to kill email, the Snow White, the littlest girl was naughty, etc., and some of them pertaining to, jerky, whatever that is. Yeah.
And so, and so, just quick follow. What is jerky? Like, what is that exactly?
I think that's the question. I don't know if it's like, and again, like going into specifically just based on what this is, I don't know.
Code
the
word.
Context
It
is
has to be a code word. Nobody
It's a
talks
code
about
word
jerky
and
like
it's
this.
Weird. Yeah, it's a code word and it's weird.
But something that adapts and survives. And then came the moment that stood out, the moment people online clipped, replayed, and debated endlessly. Because in one emotional discussion, Caviezel appeared visibly shaken while referring to disturbing descriptions he had encountered in case-related materials and briefings. He didn't go into graphic detail, but he didn't need to. His reaction said enough. His voice tightened, his eyes lowered, and for a second, he struggled to continue speaking at all. He paused, swallowed, and tried again. And that's when the emotional weight of what he was describing became impossible to ignore.
When 85,000 children had crossed the border this last year and disappeared. Where did they disappear to?
Because whatever he had read or heard wasn't just information anymore. It had become something personal, something that stayed with him, something he couldn't simply turn off after filming wrapped. But here's the twist. The public reaction wasn't unified. Some people saw a man emotionally overwhelmed by exposure to traumatic subject matter connected to child protection investigations. Others saw something else entirely, a blending of real advocacy, personal belief, and interpretation of complex criminal cases that are still actively investigated in different parts of the world.
72 missing children rescued.
Yes.
And it was a blip in the news. But meanwhile, I saw 1,000 articles on how mean Ellen is.
And that tension created a storm online. Clips circulated without context, quotes were repeated without full interviews, and discussions quickly split into two worlds, those focused on the emotional human reaction, and those questioning how much of the narrative was being interpreted beyond verified facts.
She met Harvey with Oprah.
With Oprah.
With Oprah. So Katie, and she talks about this in an interview, and before the trial, during the trial, we'll play the whole interview. She talks about the fact that if Oprah's with Harvey, then why should I worry about it? I mean, Oprah is like the world's mom. Who is not going to trust the person who's next to Oprah?
But through all of it, one thing remained undeniable. Caviezel was deeply affected, not superficially, not for attention, but in a way that suggested prolonged exposure to material most people would struggle to even read once. And as the conversation continued, he began emphasizing something repeatedly in different appearances. He said, the deeper issue isn't just individual criminals, it's the structure around them, the silence, the systems that fail to stop exploitation early, the bureaucratic gaps that allow cases to slip through cracks, and the emotional toll of confronting that reality seemed to weigh on him more than anything else. Friends and colleagues who worked with him on related projects have described him as changed after engaging with this subject matter. Quieter in some moments, more intense in others. Like someone carrying a responsibility he didn't ask for, but feels unable to drop.
He was with Naomi Campbell, he had Oprah Winfrey there with him, who entered the room and was swinging off his arm and just seemed like a very dear friend. And these, like Oprah, Naomi, Rita, and Georgina, they all sat at his table. And for me, meeting Oprah was like, oh my God, like I would have thought that I would have to be someone who's established, who everyone would have had to know about before I was privileged enough to meet someone like Oprah. So that gave me so much confidence in him at the time when he approached me.
But the most powerful moment still comes back to that emotional breakdown in interviews, because it wasn't dramatic in a Hollywood sense. There was no music, no script, no performance, just a man trying to explain something painful without collapsing under it. And that's what made it stick in people's minds, because whether you agree with everything he says or not, the emotional reaction was real, and it forced viewers into an uncomfortable question. What does it do to a person when they spend enough time looking at the darkest parts of humanity, not from a distance?
These are entities. They don't have any form. They're just these spirits that enter his body. It's been going on for 40 years.
But through documents, reports, survivor accounts, investigative summaries, the kind of material that doesn't leave your thoughts when the camera stops rolling. And that question doesn't have an easy answer, because some people cope by distancing themselves, others compartmentalize, but a few, like Caviezel appears to have done, carry it forward into everything they say afterward. And that changes how the public sees them. It turns interviews into something heavier. It turns simple statements into emotional signals. It turns advocacy into something that feels deeply personal, almost spiritual in tone.
Not a dollar has been wasted.
But here's where the story lands in a quieter place, away from the noise, away from the online debates, away from the clipped moments and viral interpretations. At its core, this isn't just about one actor's emotional reaction. It's about what happens when anyone, actor, investigator, journalist, or advocate, spends too long confronting material tied to exploitation and trauma. It leaves a mark, sometimes visible, sometimes not. And in Caviezel's case, that mark showed up in the moments he could no longer fully control his voice, the moments where emotion broke through preparation, where thought turned into silence, where silence said more than words ever could.
You don't get to the point where you're watching pornographic videos of children being raped without hundreds or even thousands of hours of increasingly demented voluntary fantasy. And that's that allowing the spirit of sin that would otherwise crouch on your doorstep to enter your house and have its way with you, right? It's like a collaborative venture with Satan himself.
And maybe that's why those clips keep circulating. Because they don't feel like performance, they feel like exposure to something heavy, something unresolved, something still being fought over in courts, in investigations, and in public discourse.
And they're speaking to me about children almost like they're talking about, the weather, or, talking about buying and selling children like you talk about buying and selling computer parts or an automobile or something. And that's where I thought, something has taken over you. Something non-human has made you less human.
And as the conversation around him continues, one thing remains clear. Whether people agree with his perspective or challenge it, the emotional weight he carried in those moments is what people remember most. Not the arguments, not the headlines.
The very first image I saw were there were three little boys that were probably 7, 5, and 3, and they looked like my children. They had, they had blonde hair, blue eyes, and they were being just raped. These 3 little boys by this pedophile, and I was so shocked. I fell to my knees. I dry heaved, thinking I was going to throw up into the wastebasket. I jumped into my car. I drove to my children's school, my 3 oldest kids. I checked them out. I still remember in my mind, I can still see dentist appointment I wrote. And I grabbed them, I took them home and just sobbed on the...
But the pause in his voice, the struggle to speak, and the look that suggested he had seen something he would never be able to fully explain. And maybe that's the real ending to this story. Not certainty, not resolution, but the lingering impact of what happens when someone looks too long into the darkest corners of reality and can't pretend anymore that it doesn't hurt.
Then she says, close your eyes. And you're with your maker. You've passed through this life and you're talking to your maker. And he has 2 questions for you. 1, could you have saved the kids? And 2, did you do it? That's your interview.
And maybe that's where this story truly leaves us. Not with answers, but with questions that don't fade easily. Because when you listen closely to everything Jim Caviezel has said over the years, and you strip away the headlines, the arguments, and the noise online, what remains is not a man trying to entertain the world. It's a man reacting emotionally to something he believes is far bigger than himself. Something that, in his eyes, is not just a storyline or a passing topic, but a reality that demands attention, urgency, and discomfort. And whether people agree with every word he says or not, there is one thing that cannot be ignored. The emotional weight is real. You can see it in the pauses between his sentences. You can hear it in the moments where his voice tightens, where confidence turns into silence for just a second too long. That's not the sound of someone reading a script. That's the sound of someone carrying something heavy, something that doesn't leave easily once you've seen it.
And I believe it's going to move a lot of whistleblowers to come forward, but not one. In the hundreds, maybe thousands of them worldwide start coming forward and telling the truth of what's really going on.
But here's the deeper truth this story keeps pointing back to. Moments like these don't just belong to one person. They belong to everyone who has ever been exposed to suffering they didn't know how to process. Everyone who has learned something disturbing and couldn't return to seeing the world the same way again. Because once certain realities enter your awareness, ignorance is no longer an option. You either look away or you carry it with you. And that is where the emotional divide begins. Some people see conviction, others see controversy. Some see bravery, others see misunderstanding. But underneath all of that, there is still a human reaction that connects everyone watching this story unfold: discomfort. Because it forces you to sit with something heavy without offering an easy escape.
America right now and the world, when they see this, they're being reawakened because the media has lied too many times. And this is the strand that broke the camel's back.
And maybe that is why moments like Caviezel's emotional interviews spread so quickly online. Not because people fully agree, not because everything is understood, but because something about them feels unfiltered, raw, unpolished, human. And in a world where so much is carefully controlled, edited, and packaged, that kind of vulnerability stands out more than anything else. But as this conversation continues to grow beyond one person, one interview, or one viral clip, it leaves us with something more important than agreement or disagreement. It leaves us with awareness.
awareness of how deeply emotional these topics can be, awareness of how heavy they are for those who work closely with them, and awareness that behind every public statement, there is always a private human experience we don't fully see.
I used to think I might be out of a job because we eradicated human trafficking. I am now thinking I might be out of a job because the very laws that protect children and allow us to go after their captors are being and will be decaying and eroded with this crazy culture that is taking children in the name of liberating them and in fact is enslaving them.
So as this video comes to an end, maybe the real question isn't about what was said or how it was said. Maybe the real question is what we do with the feeling it leaves behind. Do we scroll past it and forget? Or do we pause long enough to acknowledge that some subjects in this world are too serious to be reduced to noise? Because once you hear stories like this, once you witness that level of emotion, it's not something you can completely unhear. It stays, quietly. And sometimes that silence says more than anything else ever could.